This is Beauty Manifested, and I am Danny the Teej. I am exhausted. I had a long day. I took a nap today, but I'm still just tired. I think I have the itis because I ate a lot. Anyways, I've been thinking. What I've been thinking about is other people's boundaries. What I've also been thinking about is, so I've been Ubering everywhere today, obviously, because I'm in Greece, so I'm not driving. And I have so many profound thoughts when I'm in the back of the car. And so this leads me to believe that as the world innovates more and more and humans have to do less unnecessary tasks, I just feel that our brains will really be able to just like reach max potential, because you get to think, you have your best thoughts and ideas, I think, when you're able to be idle. So the more busy work that we can automate and delegate to robots or AI, the better. So that's thought one. The second thought is being a considerate person. So I consider myself to be a considerate person, so much so that sometimes I find myself considering, okay, like, I don't want to give the real example that made me think of this. So like, one example would be like, if you really want to go get Italian food, and so you say to your friend, hey, I really want to go get Italian food. And then your friend is like, okay, let's go get Italian food. And then you're being so considerate. You're like, oh, but wait, but sure, are you sure? Are you this? Are you that? Like, well, maybe you don't really want Italian food. And then you start you start trying to get inside the other person's head to figure out if they're only doing it because you want to do it. Or even people say, like, in relationships, they don't want their man to do something because they told them to. They want them to do it because they want to do it. And like, yeah, that is nice of you, that you are considering the way the other person feels. And I do this too, so I can see why we would want to like not inconvenience someone if we can, or not make someone uncomfortable if we can. However, I feel like ultimately this is detrimental, and what I would like for me and us to shift into is seeing the other person as capable of setting their own boundaries. And if they do decide to do something, like maybe they don't really want Italian, but they're going to do it for you, then they're getting something from that. They're getting to be of service to you. They're getting to experience sacrifice. They're getting to, it feels good sometimes when you give something up for another person, when you go out of your way to be good to another person. That sometimes feels good. And so I don't want to take that experience away from someone to be of service and be a good, kind person. And I also don't want to worry myself over something that really isn't worth worrying over, because ultimately I'm creating stories in my head that this person never actually told me. Like, I'm just like reading into their facial expressions, their lack of emojis, like all kinds of weird things, and be like, well, I don't know if they really want to. And it's just such a waste of space. Like, literally, what a waste of time. And so to all the considerate people, let's start seeing people as capable of setting their own boundaries. It is their responsibility to say, hey, no, I don't want to do that, if they don't want to do that. But you have a right to ask, and they have a right to say no. And that is life. This applies to dating, this applies to friendships, this applies to work, especially work. Oftentimes, especially, I work in sales for the last 4 years, and salespeople, like, basically one of our life's mottos is, it doesn't hurt to ask. So you will find, like, if you work in sales, your bosses will ask you for absolutely outlandish things. Like, hey, do you think you could work until 8 tonight? Obviously not. Like, obviously I'm not working till 8. So I would just take that very likely and be like, absolutely not. That's what I would say to them. I don't care what our relationship. I would be like, absolutely not. I have other things to tend to. And then they're probably going to laugh and be like, it doesn't hurt to ask. That's what they're going to say. Or like, for example, like your boss might call you, they're going to be the not considerate. They might call you after hours. It is your responsibility to not answer. It's not office hours, you have no business answering that phone if they call outside of business hours, okay? And this goes for anybody. It is your responsibility to set the boundary. And vice versa. It is the other person's responsibility to set the boundary. Nobody benefits from trying to like get inside of the other person's head. I know what I want, and I'm willing to voice that. I'm willing to ask that. I'm willing to move in that direction. Not even ask, because a lot of times, like I might say, like, I'm really craving Italian food, and if my friend is like, I really don't want Italian food, then I might be like, let's just meet up after, because I really want Italian food. You know what I mean? Like, I can still go there, and they can go somewhere else, or we can be like, let's just order in, then I can DoorDash what I want, you can DoorDash what you want. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways around it, but you don't have to always be sacrificing, compromising, blah, 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 blah. Especially if your considerate nature goes so far that you're literally sacrificing before the person even asks. Like, you just assume that your boss wants you to stay after, so you're working over. You just assume that your boyfriend wants to eat pizza tonight, so you just order the pizza even though you don't even want pizza. Like, you need to stay in your body, in your desire, and focus and state what you want. This is your life. This is your movie. You're supposed to be living for you. Comprende? I don't want to overspeak on this, but don't be overly considerate. It really just doesn't make any sense, and you're making decisions for other people. I love you. I love you. I love you. Be blessed.